Welcome to VentureNode. We are a Web3 community of founders who are looking to learn from each other by speaking to people who are currently in the trenches of their own venture. My name is Adrian, and this is my co host Michael. Join us today with our guests coming from the Standard Protocol project. Before we get into the episode, please check out our current contributors, ShineDAO and DuckDAO, two incredible crypto incubators in the description of this episode. Let's start with introductions. So I guess you can tell us a bit about who you are.
Sure. I'm a founder at Standard Protocol. I try to make a new self-sovereign stablecoin, which is maintained by DAO, and we try to bring self-sovereignty using NFTs. And we're thinking of new way to build DeFi so that it becomes more censorship resistant and more power to the users of and overall blockchain.
Got it. So we were looking a lot into your background, and we noticed that you had a lot of very interesting experience. So maybe you could tell us a little bit about how you got into DeFi and cryptocurrency after being a traditional software developer, and sort of what gravitated you towards the space.
Sure. It was pretty interesting story. Yeah. So I think it goes back when I was in university lab. So I wasn't really related to the blockchain at first. So I was researching some Internet of Things just to show how to secure a IoT device or like your Google phone in the home networks so that hackers does not place like some kind of hacker device that can steal your informations or control your home. So I was trying to build those kind of things, and then blockchain actually there was I think it was like a time when Bitcoin book was out. It's like I think that was when Anthony, some guy, released a book about Bitcoin, and I was looking some book to read in the bookstore, and then just kind of found one, and then started to read on it, and then it said that it stores immutable informations that can be manipulated by the others. So that's where I got first into a blockchain. And yeah, so I started to making some using a Python or JavaScript, and after releasing that and then sharing on a Facebook, some Korean like blockchain guys kind of started to contact me and then trying to do something. But yeah, they were not actually good enough though. But so after that, I think, and then I found Ethereum. So Ethereum said that they already built a blockchain that I was trying to use it for my IoT research. So yeah, I was like very interested in that and started to code Solidity at 2016. And I think I submitted a scholarship for DevCon 4, and I was pretty excited at the moment that I got selected for the global something like scholarship from Ethereum Foundation. So I visited there. I wanted to learn how Ethereum proof of stake will work. At that time, there was a really hot topic going on, like whether Casper is going to be implemented. What is Casper CVC? What is Casper? And I wanted to really ask about it. And
Mhm.
I don't know. I actually talked with Vlad, but like I never understood the design though. Okay, but I really felt that it's not going to be delivered in the next or 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of interesting to see that it was actually right. So yeah, I was at kind of disappointed at the moment, and kind of mm, and like there was a guy who worked with me on a consultancy using a blockchain. Then he said that there's the new blockchain coming up, and then I saw Cosmos and Polkadot, and like I was wondering, um, what should I learn? Like that guy says that it's the next blockchain. But Polkadot was trying to tell something about Casper and all those Ethereum's future or whatever. So I was more attracted to it. So, and yeah, I liked how Rust worked because I kind of got sick of how Go managed the virtual environment just like Python. So I started to dig into Polkadot. I think it was very early though. Like Substrate was not even finished at that time. So somehow those experiences kind of helped me into get a job on the Polkadot ecosystem right now. And yeah, but sooner or later, like I turned out, actually studied Cosmos.
Hmm.
So and at that time, Terra, located in Seoul, was actually trying to find some Rust developers to get a Cosmos developer. So one of the guys in the one of the hacker house and blockchain hacker house in Seoul kind of asked me to become a Cosmos developer, and I was like, oh, it was pretty much similar to Solidity, except they have a bunch of tedious JSONs to query and then handlers to do that. So I got in, and yeah, I started to make some stuff, like suggest some protocol design for Mirror and Anchor, and yeah, I think that's pretty much where I work, pretty much on the stablecoin side, like burning mechanisms and how to express those burns in the videos and something.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I think it's really interesting that you were into protocol design from the very beginning. Like you mentioned how you were already interested in the future of Ethereum and how you sort of saw that it would take a much longer time to develop than they had originally planned for. So,
yeah,
like, what do you think about like Ethereum's future versus what Cosmos and Polkadot were doing at the time? Like, did you really see the vision for Polkadot and Cosmos being ahead of Ethereum?
well, one thing for sure, I thought Polkadot was going to build shards faster than Ethereum, so that was the thing, and I was interested in the shard, so that's when I wasn't. That's why I was interested in it. For Cosmos, it was pretty interesting. Like it's TCP/IP for blockchains. It was pretty exciting for me, but I wanted to know how can those two blockchains communicate each other. But now I see that the design is pretty much done in a third party, where a relayer is coming in. But I wonder how it is rewarded. But still, TCP/IP is still an interesting idea, and I think it can be modular or widespread than Polkadot right now, the design that they have right now, because it I think that Cosmos Cosmos TCP, this IVC, is actually better than the multi-sig bridge. So I'm pretty much optimistic about Cosmos on those forming up some networks between blockchains.
Got it. And
Okay.
so how would you say the standard protocol team came together out of that out of that history? Did you meet people along the way at the different places that you were working, or was the team completely separate from that?
Well, some of them were separate, and someone just met from Discord, and someone just, but mostly those team members are the ones that I actually met with. So they're pretty much my friends in the team. And yeah, I mean, so the reason why I actually started Standard was that UST had, I mean, there are so many rumors and thoughts about the UST, So thinking about the decentralization right now in this ecosystem, it kind of make me question what is a true decentralization that we deserve in this decentralized economy. I mean, although UST says that they're the decentralized money, if you think about the own collaterals of the UST, it's 100% to one, just
Hmm.
like 100% Circle, 100% Tether for USDC and USDT respectively. So it makes me really question what's the true decentralization and how we should maintain this system so that it just doesn't end up like a Ponzi and just give the new financial ecosystem where everyone can be self-censored and then just become the new financial system, accommodating the older generations. So that's why I started Standard. So I still work for other protocols and the blockchain projects, but I have this idea that I might feel guilty if I don't correct this decentralization to the general people who is yet to understand that to meet the true meaning of the decentralization, which is the self sovereignty. I mean, people should be able to um, do whatever they want, just in protocols. If you look at UST, they censor other centralized asset. I mean, even though they're kind of at the rumors of not being collateralized at all,
Hmm.
but still, it's the asset that people choose, and it's the people. It's an actual asset that people believe to be trade. So, um, yeah. So I try to bring this new layer of decentralization so that
Yeah.
um, people can do something. Yeah.
So I see. So, did you work for Terraform Labs and do you have experience working with UST? Is that what you said?
Well, I think I mostly worked in Cosmos smart contract framework, which is used.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah, we were
I
trying
see.
to adopt the use cases of UST for Terraform Labs so that people can make a bunch of contracts together.
Okay,
But
yeah,
I think I told some idea about how making synthetic assets through UST or something, and then the mirror was born. And also
yeah,
like yeah, I've been talking with Anchor core dev. Was it? I don't actually kind of remember, but oh yeah, Jesse. Yeah, I talked with a lot
yeah,
of Jesse about how the design of Anchor should be, like
yeah.
liquidation and stuff. Yeah. So yeah,
Okay,
pretty much that's what I did in TFL. But I actually
okay.
felt at the same time that I don't think it's pretty much decentralized, but I couldn't find what can be differentiated.
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really interesting because I personally I did a really big like deep dive into Terra and Luna, and I know that there's a lot of like controversy kind of surrounding the whole algorithmic stablecoin nature of UST. So I
Mhm.
wonder, like, I mean, it kind of sounds like you're maybe like going around it a little bit, but like, what's your opinion on like UST and the whole algorithmic collateralization, and also because there's a lot of claims like UST is a Ponzi with Anchor Protocol and it's unsustainable, and obviously there are a lot of arguments against that as well, but like kind of what's your whole view on that situation with the 20% yield and Anchor trying to gain a lot of adoption for Luna and Terra as a whole?
So one of the recent discovery I found about Luna is that Luna has this burner wallet from TFL, right?
Hmm.
So if you see the coin market cap, you can see Luna is it plays like a seventh in the coin market cap. But what if like a 99% of those market cap is coming from the liquid circulating supply in the burner wallet or like TFL wallet? Because that's what I saw from the YouTube call. Like I think there was like a Czech Republic guy was trying to say about that, but I saw the picture of the market cap being a huge part of a from a burner wallet, and like it makes me question like and as far as I know, I know TFL was really not exposing how those algorithms work in the open source. Even they were not sharing to the internal workers.
Hmm.
Like, I actually heard the rumors that, or the article that the SDT, Terra is one of the network assets, has been pre-mined. So like it kind of came to me like a red flag to me when I was working. So I got out, but no, like Luna just went up like $100.
Right.
So yeah, it was pretty weird experience for me, but I don't know. Like right now, for the 20% of Anchor Protocol yield, um, to be honest, I think I disagree with that when I was in TFL, but I never knew that this will sustain like this longer.
This long. Yeah, I mean, they recently had to top up the Anchor reserves in order to sustain it. I think it was like $500 million. So there's clearly a lot of like big money trying to back it and support it. Even
Yeah.
with the even with like the UST reserves, I know they have they just recently started like the Luna Foundation Guard, and they were selling a bunch of Luna and converting it to UST to try to get like a fractional backing of UST in Bitcoin.
Mhm.
So I thought that stuff was pretty interesting, but it also seemed a little bit like more PR focused to try to get people a little bit less afraid of a DPEG. And like you were saying too, like there's always the money's not coming out of nowhere. like like
Yeah.
all this reserves that they're getting by selling Luna is still like increasing the supply of UST or Luna that's going to be on the market. Um, yeah, so I thought that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, so I was quite frustrated that they were focusing on much more in the PR and the developer tools that I was working with. They were pretty much interested in the um, product side instead of nurturing some ecosystem when I was in the TFL. Um, well, but the good news is I heard that William is working on Cosm script, but I've never seen it working in live, and it seems like it has some work to do, but they're doing something, I guess. So I guess that's a good news. But it makes me question how does algorithm really work when I really saw the confirmed case of pre-mining SDT and a burner wallet permission only getting a permission from Doe
Hmm.
on booking Lunas and UST. So, but when but also I compare with DAI, and I kind of have the like DeFi overall have this kind of like a big hole that has like a centralized point of failure. So, for example, like if you look at DAI, most of the collaterals are locked into the smart contract, but if those collaterals gets liquidated, it is the maker foundation who manage the collateral ultimately to give back to maker holders to start an auction. So it makes me question what if still MakerDAO like refuses to distribute liquidations or just use those liquidations for the other purposes. Then should we call this like a decentralization, as same as USD? Um, it makes me really question about this. And actually, for the Magic Internet Money MIM, they actually failed to distribute liquidation from memo. So, I mean, it's, like a C for risk, or like Daniel says that he can fix it, like whatever. But it really has the counterparty risk in all stablecoins right now.
Hmm.
And I wanted to make an automated way where um I mean I wouldn't be really confident that this automated liquidation method will be will also have like a counterparty risk, but the risk is on the DAO token holders, and I wanted to make this new stablecoin project to be self censors by this our DAO token holder standard to manage it, so that this is the truly self-censored stablecoin project that we deserve in this Web3 today. So that's why I started Standard.
Got it.
Okay.
Mm.
So what is like what's your grand vision with Standard? Are you planning to link TradFi and DeFi, and you think a high quality stablecoin is the way to do that?
Well, I think there's more way to go building a
Yeah.
DeFi primitives that we have. I also think that there's a space that can be improved in the money markets or options that we have right now through this account NFT. So I built this new concept called account NFT, where protocols only manage users participants fund with the immutable smart contract. Like people say code is law in the
Yeah.
Web3 world. We just applied the same thing that all those collaterals that participant deposit is still theirs using an NFT with a given set of rules. So they can still leverage it, they can manage it, they still have the window to like change the parameters. And we also try to bring the new paradigm to self-censor all those parameters through the DAO tokens. Um, I think stablecoin is the pretty much the centerpiece of the decentralized economy, as USD described. So I built it first. After that, I think I work on investment, and then just like Anchor, I think we're gonna work on the new money market that we deserve in this Web3 today.
Okay. Cool. So you'll have the stablecoin as the core mechanism, and then around that you'll have like a money market, maybe a few other synthetic protocols, and then yeah, I guess whoever else needs a high quality stablecoin, right?
Yeah, and pretty much self-sovereign. I
Yeah,
believe that self-sovereign is the true decentralization. I think
yeah.
it's pretty misunderstood in all throughout this year in 2021.
And I
Yeah.
noticed that, like on some of the roadmaps, it mentioned that you were gonna try to launch on Kusama, and then Polkadot as well with the crowd loan process. So, are you still pursuing a Polkadot parachain, or are you just going to stick with, I believe it's Shiden network on Kusama?
Well, I think though, but the market conditions, if I consider that, I think a new alpha should be released in the Ethereum ecosystem right now. I think I'm not really a chain maximalist, and I want standard to be in every network as possible. What I put importance is the self sovereignty after all. So you participants should be able to choose any type of assets they want. But like having a priority right now though, comparing other assets between Bitcoin and Ethereum, Bitcoin has been underdeveloped throughout these years, but they remain to be the most censorship resistant and self-sovereign asset. And to access that Bitcoin, it's mostly on the Ethereum, and also Ethereum has actually done has actually done something for self sovereignty, and Vitalik even said about the self censorship. So it would be great if we could introduce this new financial system and using Ethereum and even layer two, and then move on to other ecosystems out there. Because I think right now, like Cosmos and Polkadot, I kind of having some trouble on truly decentralizing.
Mm.
So, for example, if you look at the Juno incident, we saw like I don't know. Even though it's like an airdrop, even though there was like a mistake, we see this mock rule where um, most people, like the general people, can actually steal the whale guy's money. Um, but I feel really relieved that it was an airdrop. But if it is like a true, well, I don't know what to tell about this instant. Also, like in Polkadot, I've been in I'm working in these ecosystem, so I can't really say about it. But
Mhm.
like in this Polkadot, I think we're kind of trying to build instead of building something new. I think we're at the stage where we're just trying to get something which was already done. So for me, in this Polkadot ecosystem, they're just trying to follow the old trend. uh, it doesn't feel attractive to me to try the new design or algorithms or protocols in their ecosystem right now. So I think I'll just go to Ethereum. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think like what a lot of people who aren't necessarily within the team of these large projects, they don't necessarily see how how much control the founding team can have over the community and the project, that a lot of the time the community is not necessarily very aware of. I know that it's pretty easy to have like an image of decentralization and security, that the team can always kind of have the final say in, um, for a lot of these projects. So it sounds like you had a similar experience, even at these like very large projects or protocols, that they still kind of have the same deciding factor. And it sounds like that kind of scares you, and that's something that you want to avoid.
Yeah, in the bull run, everyone just does not care about decentralization and just try to
Yeah.
get some, just retail is just happy about it. They're pretty happy about getting the gains at the stuff. I think Polkadot was really getting that narrative last year, and then attracted really many peoples out there. But after when like right now bear market is coming, and I think people are not really active anymore in Polkadot space. Um, like they haven't experienced builder season, like winter seasons yet after releasing the parachain. So I don't think we're gonna be able to see a user who is trying to just trying to like use a new protocols.
Yeah, until maybe another bull market. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I noticed out of some of the larger chains, just specifically with the knowledge that I have and kind of like the niche that I've been in crypto, I haven't been exposed to Polkadot nearly as much as a lot of these other chains. And I think it might come down just from the outside point of view. Like to me, I kind of have this idea that Polkadot is extremely, uh, is like very complex in terms of the whole like parachain auction. There seem to be a lot of like unique features that can maybe turn away developers as opposed to just like an EVM chain that might be like built on top of Polkadot and then maybe more projects will launch on that. Um, but I think I think the complexity is really what might turn away a lot of founders.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. So like Polkadot has a lot of technologies to show. Like they're really building something. They have these complex technologies to scale up, just like other to provide shards. I think one of the interesting things that Polkadot actually solved is the scaling problem using shard. But the thing about Polkadot that is pretty hard for developers to come is that um or users to access is to find the niche. They actually do they maybe I can say that they actually do everything better, but there's already solutions out there in the market that satisfies the user's need. So how can we just effectively express ourselves that sharpen our strength, and then just reach out to users or participants? So I think that's the thing that what parachains have to focus on, because we're now losing the narrative that parachain is the future.
Hmm.
Parachain is no more about parachain, just like astronomy is about telescope. I mean, you don't do astronomy with just looking at the telescope, Like same as parachains, you don't just make chains, parachain, and then just be successful. Like you need to find its own use case, focusing on what Polkadot has been developing. I think that's the uh, homework that each parachain project has to focus on.
I think that's very well
Yep.
put. I think
Yeah.
Michael, maybe you want to get a little bit more into the details of the stablecoin that they're building.
Yeah, so I'd just like to ask, what are the advantages of having a for standard protocol having a collateralized rebasable stablecoin when compared to other stablecoins such as D- DAI that's I think over collateralized by like 150%. So
So
is there like a level of capital efficiency that this stablecoin brings over the other ones, or
one thing to state out is that I think it will be gas fees and the
yeah.
limit that one can borrow. Right now, DAI is requiring people to borrow DAI if the collateral value is more than 10,000. But we don't, I was wondering why, and then look it up. And I saw that DAI was storing those vaults in a LinkedIn list. So I think the reason why they do that is that if they store the list too much, the contract's gas fee will just increase. So every time the user issues a vault, it's going to show like sometimes like zero point 0.1 ETH for just creating a vault. So I think that's why they do it. But we did some few improvements on the gas savings. So it provides a consistent um, about like 0.02 ETH at gas price of 100 without any collateral value limit at all. So people can really easily make their like a bank account just like DAI, in a really cheaper price. So that's the
Yep.
improvement that we had. And there's two ways to use our stablecoin. One is the same as DAI. You can leverage with it in a cheaper gas price, I guess, gas fees. And the second thing is that we're really permissionless, so we don't try to censor. We're not the one that censors the collaterals. It's the DAO token holders that censors the collateral of our USM. So in this case, we don't really affect this kind of stablecoin collaterals. It could be UST, USDT, USDC, but people can still keep their decentralization through self-sovereignty, and they can actually hedge that through liquidation. So when AMM, like when the collateral liquidates, we don't really hold those liquidations and do nothing. We just our smart contract just automatically sends the liquidations to the AMM, so that those USM holders with the safer collaterals can actually get the more volatile collaterals through AMM arbitrage. This way, in bull run, our stablecoin can be a yield instrument or leverage trade instrument. In bear run, it could be a hedge to less volatile collaterals, and then you can accumulate wealth in the bear run.
So
Yep.
maybe
I
you can
see.
go a little bit more in depth into like the collateralized debt positions, because like I guess to me it seems like I'm just a little bit confused with like the liquidation process, how these like separate individual collateralized debt positions that could be made up of varying assets, how those can be liquidated like through one AMM and incentivized in that way.
So the how to do that is to make a DAO where standard token holders can manage the collateralization ratio and the liquidation ratios and so forth. Once those thing is done, people can make a CDP out of it. And to put more detail on how it liquidates, there's an AMM pair. There will be an AMM pair always when a certain new collateral is come in uh, for USM and its collateral. So what the contract do is to look up the pair between USM and its underlying collateral, and then when it liquidates, it sends the stored collateral to the AMM pair and then sync it so that the pair is updated for the liquidated price. Yeah.
Yep.
So I'll share some articles about how those things are liquidated, and there are some equations that can evenly distribute without doing an auction.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
So just comparing to Terra Luna ecosystem again, I realized that they actually had to come up with like Mirror Protocol, for example, and Anchor by themselves. So is that what you guys are going to be doing too, or are you going to be leveraging like another synthetics protocol, for example, for when that time comes?
Well, the reason why Terra was doing that, I think it was they couldn't find an interoperability at that with the Cosmos.
Yeah.
So, but now that we have EVM, we can still interact with other tokens and we can still make our own protocols.
Okay.
So we'll definitely use partners to interact with, but we can also, as I said, we I think that there should be like a self-sovereign
Yeah.
finance
Yeah.
primitives. So I think that will be the thing that we will be trying new. Yeah.
Okay.
And do you see it as like do you think it'll be more difficult without having your own dedicated chain? Like if you're looking to launch on Ethereum, and you mentioned being chain agnostic as well, do you think that will make it more difficult or easier in comparison uh, to Luna, where they have their own chain, and then it's also bridgeable and fairly interoperable across the entire ecosystem?
Well, it's fairly easier to set up a protocol in EVM chains out there because we don't need to pay for the RPC fees to accept the transactions. So I guess the adoption on multi-chain will be faster than UST.
Mm.
But having a parachain, well, if we really want to be chain agnostic, we could try that. And um, but still, right now, I think delivering the self sovereignty comes in a priority. So I guess setting up those contracts in EVM is much easier right now. Yeah.
Okay. I'd just like to, maybe we can go into the conclusion here. I'd like to ask, since you have a lot of experience working for other projects, and obviously Standard, what advice do you have for other founders entering into the blockchain space? Is there like, I don't know, some kind of networking advice with when interacting with certain blockchain ecosystems and different projects, or yeah,
Okay.
or
Well,
team building as well, you know?
mhm.
Yeah,
uh, I would say that don't be discouraged that you're in
yeah,
the uh, don't be discouraged about your environment because as I got a scholarship from Ethereum.
yeah,
And like I think the good thing about Web3 is that everyone has a opportunity to show their works or interact with somebody in the same level without any degrees at all. You
yeah,
just need to go out there and then just innovate.
yeah,
So be brave. Right now, I think the good one of the good things that you can do right now is to attend hackathons and then show your projects if you think you're good. And I encourage people to actually build it instead of just uh, trying to network with others and then just pretend that you're working on centralization because people are going to find about you like you
yeah,
know it's not decentralized like
yeah,
so
yeah,
just get onto it, do something and instead of just pretending. Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I would suggest.
Okay. Um,
And
and sorry, yeah, you can go, Adrian.
yeah, and I was just gonna say, and where do you see Standard Protocol like within the next year? Like, what are you guys working on at the moment, and where do you see the long term vision of Standard Protocol, especially in comparison to a lot of these other algorithmic stablecoins or other centralized stablecoins?
I think one of the differences, I think the difference that USM has with other stablecoin is it is the first bear market resistant stablecoin and self sovereign. So a lot of stablecoins like proposes to be like the next new bank, but we're gonna be people's bank and basically a global monetary system that can pretty much accommodate them, removing those counterparty risk. That's what we aim to
Yeah,
do. And then next year, I wanted to build shards, and I may apply for making a parachain, but I think I see this. I think we can do better because we have never seen a parachain that actually uses a Polkadot as like a network fees or actually utilize it. So I think I'm just gonna build that and then link Polkadot into becoming one of the standards basement for decentralization and use that and then just expand so forth if we get a lot of attention or some investment maybe. Yeah, that's
okay,
what I want to see.
sounds good. I did just quickly, I did notice that you mentioned that it was a bear market resistant stablecoin. Um, Maybe you can go into detail on why that's important and like possibly a worst case scenario for some of the other stablecoins out there. If there is some kind of, big market crash or something, and um what's the worst case scenario for like maybe UST or or DAI? I remember DAI actually did lose its peg quite substantially in the March 2020 crash.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So we totally expect that we're gonna lose peg at sometimes,
Yeah.
but we try to change that risk into an opportunity.
Yep.
So every stable coin's risk is when the depeg happens and when the collateral value goes off. So to have a resistance with that, that's why we came up with the AMM liquidation.
Yep.
So when collateral value goes down, stablecoin holders get more access to those liquidated collaterals, and they can trade it to have the collaterals. And some of them may actually print more to buy those liquidated collaterals because USM has been used in other yield platforms out there. So I would say that that gives you a resistance without any centralized effort at all. Also, we adjust the supply once the dice is too like overproduced compared to the collateral value. I think that's where rebase comes in. So there is actually a rebasable mechanism that determines the overall USM price and then adjusts the supply to be minted. So in this case, I think we can be prepared with those three measures, like rebase, liquidation, AMM market, just like auctions and DAI, and also increasing interest rate to burn those DAIs in the long run.
For the rebase mechanism, like how does the rebase mechanism work by minting whenever the collateral is increasing in value and then stopping the mint once the collateral starts to get close to the collateralization ratio?
We try to monitor that in 1 hour. We haven't even launched yet, but we have tested on a testnet on how we will go. So in 1 hour basis, people can click rebase to rebase the supply of the token that can be generated, and it's not really rebase every time doing it because it might actually not be able to react to a certain demand for USM minting.
Got it. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I think that was all the questions that we had for you today. I think that was a really interesting episode. There was a lot that we covered in terms of stablecoins and the future of Standard Protocol, and also a lot of information that I think would be super helpful for founders. Obviously, stablecoins are the primitive of kind of like the entire ecosystem. It's a lot of what's driving the growth, at least right now, even with what we're seeing with UST reaching like a $15 billion market cap and increasing by like billions every month, which is absolutely insane. I think there's huge demand for different alternatives such as USM and a lot of what Standard Protocol is working on. So I'm super excited to see how this turns out as you all launch a lot of these products that you're talking about, and especially with your experience working at Cosmos and at Terraform Labs. I think that you are in a really unique position to tackle this. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. It was a great interview to have because I was not able to talk about this like in the public, but it was really nice to have you guys to just talk about this.